But yes, you have a lot of options when it comes to careers in cybersecurity. Even yesterday, we talked about different facets. We talked about encryption, talk about hashing. We spoke about different types of access methods, credential policies, etc. Um, Make sure that you're going through chapter one. Next week, we're going to do chapter two and three. We covered a bit of chapter two this week with some of the um, headings such as logs, and today we're going to be doing types of access control. We also have a do now that we're going to do with the uh, just varying number of types of operational controls, detective controls, preventative controls, etc. So I will put that into the group chat. So otherwise than that, we're gonna go through this because I know it's Friday. We want to have some time for our family, but it's an honor that I'm able to teach y'all on a Friday, right? Lets me know how dedicated everyone is. So also from yesterday, just some more information about hashing. I misspoke yesterday. Once a password is entered into a system, it goes to the hash table. So there's no need to have a regular database full of passwords, right? Some companies do it, but we have a hashing table that holds most of the passwords, but in a encrypted, hashing form. Okay, so otherwise than that, we are going to do,
Deanna,
yeah, who's that?
hey, this is Aaron.
Hey,
Quick question about hashing. So when I was reading the chapter about hashing, it talked about using hashing just to verify the integrity of the data, not necessarily as a uh, to protect it. It's just to verify that once I send the data to somebody and once they receive it, they can
hmm,
verify that the information hadn't been changed. Because if it had, that algorithm will produce a different uh,
hash. Mhm.
hash.
Yeah, well, if you think about it in the sense of it, it's a layer of protection, right? Because if I can actually grab the hash, I can reverse engineer and find out the password, right? We have a thing in cybersecurity called rainbow tables or pass the hash, or whatever whatever may have you. But you can figure out a password by having a hash, right? But in a sense, yeah, hashing is there for integrity. So if I send a file to you and it has one hash, the hash better be the same when it comes to your computer or your server, etc. Right?
Right.
But just think of it as overall protection in the cybersecurity ecosystem.
Got it.
All right, cool. Georges.
Yes. So the update you gave about hashing, you were talking about my question where
Hmm.
in terms of origin, the hash function modifies the original database, correct?
You said, does it modify it?
Yes, because that's the only way I'm able to explain it for it to make sense.
Yeah.
So because it
So,
hashes it, because it hashes it, so it's no longer in its previous form,
right.
it's now hashed. So now if somebody were to get access to it, all they're gonna see is the hashing result, not the original passwords and credentials.
Right. Right.
Okay,
But
that's what I want. Okay.
absolutely. Yes. So it creates a new database. Usually like we don't back in the day you would have the database with the passwords in it, right? Sometimes some companies have databases with a hash and a password database, but it wouldn't make any sense, right?
Yes.
So um but again, you can figure out the hashes by reverse engineering them. So that is correct. Yeah. Um
Thank you. Because I was thinking about it last night. I was like, there has to be, if it doesn't modify it, then I just have to figure out a way to bypass it, even though it's a layer. As long as I can bypass it,
Mm,
I get what I need.
yeah,
Oh, thank you.
no problem. Thank you.
So Beyonce, this is Aaron again.
Okay.
And is so is the hashing more of a confidentiality thing or more of an integrity thing? Because what I read in the chapter was the encryption is applies to the confidentiality, but the hashing is just to verify integrity, only to see if the data that you receive was altered. It has nothing to do with a security layer, just to verify that in doing transmission, nobody intercepted it or altered it before it got to you. And so then if the hashes are different, then you can say, well, the integrity of information has been altered, so it's not accurate information, not necessarily as a protection to keep it from being accessed. So the hash is just, if I send you a file, I hash this file to say, okay, this is what this file should look like once you get it. Once you get it, it'll only tell you whether or not it's the same file that was sent, not
Okay.
necessarily
Yeah.
it was protecting a password thing. What I read in the book is more for data. It's just to verify the integrity of the data, not necessarily to protect it.
Yeah. So let me stop you there. It is for the integrity of the data, yes. Again, like Baron said, I had an example yesterday. It's like a tattoo, right? We need to see the same tattoo from my side to your side. In the technical sense, yes. When we talk about hashing, we're talking about integrity. If we have the CIA triad. In an overall security sense, right? It is comparable to protection because in our system, we have to enable encryption, we have to enable hashing, we have to enable salting, right? So if someone asks you about your security postures, your security layer, right, think of hashing as just a piece of the puzzle, right, to protect your system, right? Even if I say hashing, say salting, encryption, if I say IPS, even though that's a networking device, right, it still adds to fortifying your database. So in that sense, I talk about things, since I've been in the industry, I talk about things as a whole rather than an individual piece. So to answer your question, yes, hashing is for integrity. In an overall cybersecurity state, if I'm fortifying my system, hashing will be there to add as a layer of protection with encryption, with a firewall, et cetera, et cetera. That makes sense?
Got it.
No problem. All right. Okay. Before we start, I just want to make sure that everyone who's on a payment plan, if you're on a payment plan, please check your email and go ahead and sign the payment policy and debit credit agreement, just to make sure that uh, payments are smooth. They're able to come out on a weekly cadence. We want to make sure that your experience here is a seamless experience, okay? So if you have a payment plan, just go to your email. If you paid in full, you're fine. Otherwise than that, check your email, complete that. I'll give y'all about 7 to 8 minutes to do that. And then once that is done, we'll go into our do now. All right. And our do now is going to be some of the controls, right, that we were talking about yesterday. So I'll split people up into groups for those do nows, but let me get everyone situated. But go ahead and finish those forms. Even if you have a curriculum agreement as well, finish those curriculum agreements too. So. Did anyone watch the Netflix movie that Nicole had recommended last night? I didn't even see it till this morning.
Which one is that?
I think it's called Secret Agent. I think
Night
Oh.
Agent.
Night Agent. Okay. Yeah. Anybody watch that?
Yes, I'm on episode 2. Actually, 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, season 2.
Season 2.
Yep,
Okay,
it's pretty good.
it's pretty good.
Yep,
I'm gonna start it tonight.
you'll
Okay.
enjoy it.
Yeah, I hope. Because I barely watch TV, but I've been trying to live more and see what's out there, right? So I'll check it out.
What show was that again?
Night
Um,
Agent.
Night Agent. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I saw season 1. I haven't seen season 2.
Season 2 is pretty good.
I'm
Actually,
not-
the start of
I've
it.
been- I've been waiting for it to come out. That door's unlocked.
Okay. So while my people are doing their payment agreements and their payment policies, take a look at chapter 1, the security controls again, and we're going to be preparing for our do now. So go ahead back into chapter 1, look at the security controls. Again, some of the security controls include, different aspects of cybersecurity, and, we have our control categories. We have our technical controls, our managerial controls, operational controls, physical controls, right? So get acclimated with those terms and definitions, and then we should be prepared to do that do now in a minute. All right. But if you haven't read it, go ahead and read it.
You want us to read the whole chapter 1, or just the uh technical what's the name? Technical control?
Yeah, so not the whole chapter, right? I want you to prepare for the do now. So there's a chapter in chapter 1 called Selecting Effective Security Controls. All right. I'll actually show it so everyone can see real quick. But here's the chapter here. If we see selecting effective security controls, boom. You want to look at that chapter real quick. And remember, yesterday we talked about the technical controls, the managerial controls, operational controls, physical controls, and then we came down here, right? And then we saw what are some of the control types, right? Preventative controls, detective controls, corrective controls, deterrent controls. So I went over it yesterday, but skim it. You don't have to read it all, but you can skim it, and this will prepare you for our do now. All right. Let's see what we got in here. Okay. So I think our folks who were doing their payment plans take 1 more minute to complete that. If you paid in full, you don't have to worry about that. We are going to get ready to do our do now. All right. So I will present the do now, and we should be all good to go. Okay. Easy peasy. All right. So we have the do now, right? And our directions are set here. Number one, look up the definition of the assigned item or the assigned term. Number two, provide one real life example of the term in action. All right. Number three, make sure to add both the definition and the example. Okay, so you have the definition of the term, right? If we have our technical controls, and then if we have our managerial controls, et cetera, right? Give me the definition of a technical control. Give me the definition of an operational control, physical control, right? Yesterday we talked about a physical control. The one that I like is bollards, right? They're interesting to me. I don't know why, but they're interesting to me. We have bollards, and bollards are there to protect buildings from cars or any danger that is coming toward the establishment. All right. We also have operational controls, right? How do we manage the day-to-day? What does that look like for day-to-day processes? Okay. Do we have a sign-in policy for employees, et cetera? Make sure you check your code at the door, right? We have to think of these things to help us improve our cybersecurity posture. What are some technical controls, right? Do we have encryption that is in place? Do we have firewalls? Do we have hashing, right? Do we have a password policy that says, hey, every 365 days you have to change your password, or every 6 months you change your passwords? Okay, these are the things that will help a company improve its cybersecurity posture and overall standing. All right, and then in group two, I will have y'all do preventative controls, detective controls, corrective controls, deterrent controls, compensating controls. Okay, so deterrent controls, right? Is it a CCTV that is right there, or is it a security guard that is saying, you can't come here unless you prove your identity and you have a work badge, and they have a Desert Eagle on the side, right? You wouldn't want to do anything, right? Is it a corrective control? Just, if something breaks, if the power goes out, right? Um, do we have those corrective controls, right? Of making sure the system is back online, right? Is there detective controls? Do we have IPSs or IDSs, right, going into our system? Do we have guard dogs snooping around? These are all the definitions that are good to know, and they're definitely on the test. These are easy wins when you're taking the Security Plus exam. So number one, just make sure that you look at the definition in a book and then use that definition, summarize it in your own words. And then number two, provide an example, right? A real life example. The book has a few examples, but think about something that happened on a job, or, if you went to Target, right? They have those cameras that are in front of your face to deter you from stealing stuff. This is an exercise on what you can observe in your environment. All right. So that is the goal for this do now. I'm going to split everyone up into two groups. So who do we have here? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. We got 12 people. All right. So I'll split you up in the two groups of 6. And I'll do that right now. Does anybody have any questions on what the task is to do? What the task is, or what the do now is? Everyone all clear? All right, good. I see the thumbs up. All good to go. All right. Shara says, FYI, if we make a copy of the original document, it will prevent us from altering the original. Correct. So you can make a copy of the original document if you would like to. Just so people don't get confused, because I know it happened, I think yesterday or the day before, and everyone was all like, crap. So let me get y'all into groups, and then we can do this do now. All right. Okay. Group 1 is going to be Shar. And then I think this is Aaron. And then Alana, Georges. All right. And then Baron. And let's do France. All right. So that is going to be group 1. And then group 2 is going to be Brittany, Fabiola, David, Emery. And then we have Darrison and Deshaun. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, cool. All right. So I'm going to open all the rooms. I'm going to come in and check on y'all periodically. I'm going to give y'all 10 minutes, okay? Group 1 is going to be Shar's group, okay? So Shar, Alana, Baron, France, Georges, Aaron. All right, and then group 2, Bree, David, Darrison, Deshaun, Emery, Fabiola. All right, so you have your groups assigned, so you have the work that you need to do. Figure out who's going to be the person to handle what. If there's so because I think there's 5 controls each. It could be 2 to a control, or if you need to put 3 to a control, do that. But everyone just provides some examples for each control, and you should be good to go. Okay, so I'm counting on y'all to split up and kind of assign each other controls, and then we will reconvene in let's say 7:15. We'll reconvene then, and we'll go through the examples and the definitions. All right. If it sounds good, then I will.
Deontay, this is Aaron.
Yeah.
Am I in group 1?
You are in. Yeah, you're in group 1.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. All right. Let me put y'all into groups. like McAfee, Norton, etc. Those are, some antivirus softwares. What else? There were some more examples that you had mentioned. What else?
Yes, for example, when you're trying to access a page at work and a pop-up comes up saying that the firewall blocked your access
Mm-hmm.
and it's restricted access.
Mm-hmm.
So be a technical control firewall.
Sure. Okay, cool. Okay, what about managerial controls? What is a managerial control? Give us some examples of that and give us some real life examples.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Managerial controls are basically processes that company use to manage their operation. There are different types of managerial control. We have audits, vulnerability assessment, and periodic risk assessment.
Right. Okay. Cool. Anybody seen any real life examples at their job or a company or anything like that?
Yes, internal audits.
Okay.
Yes, my company, we do internal audits from time to time.
Okay. Okay. And we're talking about like, internal audits as in looking at the systems, what do we have, who are the system owners, etc.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Good. What can y'all tell me about operational controls?
Operation controls are like methods and procedures and policies used to manage and control operations, day-to-day operations, such as awareness and training, for the employees about, safety, password safety,
Yeah.
security,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
configuration management,
Okay.
making sure that the systems that people are accessing are already hardened before use.
Okay. Okay. Give us some real life examples of operational controls, something you may have experienced.
We've had to take training on computers, like logging off your computer from it and
Yeah.
not and securing pertinent information that's locked away so it can't get accessed easily.
Yeah.
For my work computers, they send us little thin devices, and we're not allowed to plug in any media device or removable device into it. It's against the
Okay.
policies.
Okay. So you have a removable media policy.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. That is very good because a lot of people like to take data. So that is a thing. So good. I think our next one, I think one of my favorites is physical controls, right? What are some physical controls that are out there? What do they do? Give us some examples.
So the
Go ahead, Char.
so the physical controls, they are controls that impact like our physical world, which includes like cameras, what else we said, lighting, fences, um, what is this, bollards.
Mm. Mhm. Okay. Okay. And we have some, physical controls that we see every day. What are some physical controls that you may see in your daily life or maybe at the job? Do you have any examples for us?
Yeah, at one of my jobs, there was theft had increased in the parking lot, so they increased the lighting in the parking lot.
Mhm.
That was one.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
We have key cards that we have to scan to be able to access the building.
hmm hmm Okay. Okay, we got key cards.
Yeah.
Um, anything else?
I would say
Security guards.
sometimes when you look at certain videos where people try to rob gas stations
Mhm.
and the cashier, if he sees a burglar or thief, takes something, he presses a button and the window doesn't open or close anymore. So I would
Yeah,
say that's a man trap.
yeah. I mean, sort of. Man traps is usually just for human use, but I think those are like bulletproof glass windows. You know, um, it does. I mean, effectively does the same thing as a man trap. You know, if you get your hand stuck in there, then oh well. You know, but yeah, that's a good example. So those are going to be your physical controls. What about our directive controls?
So, directive controls are procedures, guidelines, or instructions that direct people to take specific actions to manage security risks,
Yeah.
such as HIPAA
Hmm.
that we use in the health field to protect patient information.
Hmm. Yeah. HIPAA, which we use primarily in healthcare. How do you manage or care for customer data, which is very important? You also have business continuity plans if the business gets shut down, or disaster recovery plans. If we have a disaster and the whole building's on fire, what is the first thing that happens? Well, number one, everyone must evacuate the building, right? That's a directive. Don't take the elevator, take the stairs, and wait for the fire department to show up. Okay, those are going to be more so directive. All right. So group one, you guys did a very good job with actually, telling us what the definition is, what are some examples, and some real world examples you may see in your life. Right. So now that you know these controls, you can really start taking inventory of these controls and really applying it to, what you know in cybersecurity, or applying it to what you're going to learn for the exam. Right. So I like this exam because it has a lot of real world examples that you can say, hey, you know what? I've been in this situation before. I've seen this, right? I've witnessed this. So easier for you to understand when it comes to taking the test. Okay, group one, good job. Group two, I have Bree, David, Darrison, Deshaun, Emery, Fabiola. So we're going to do more so of those categories, right? We have preventative controls, detective, corrective, deterrent, compensating controls, okay? I'm going to do something different. I'm going to start from the bottom, okay? What is compensating controls, right? Give us a summarized definition and give us some examples of compensating controls.
Compensating controls are put into place when the original is unavailable for use. So something that we said when somebody first gets hired on and they get a one-time time-sensitive password to use until they get their access to everything else in the system.
Yeah. Certainly, certainly. So, in this world of IT and cybersecurity, when we hire someone, we onboard someone, you just don't get access, because that will be ridiculous, right? There's a steps to everything. In order for you to get access to something, hey, let's give you a temporary one-time passcode and then set up your account from there. And then on the back end, we can have some type of account creation to understand who we just let in our system. Okay, so that's an idea of a compensating control. Very good job. Deterrent control. What are we talking about when we talk about deterrent controls?
So there are types of controls attempted to prevent incidents from happening just by
Mm.
like how they look, really. So an example of this is like a security guard, or do not enter, or my dog bites sign, anything that somebody can like, you know, physically see to discourage a potential threat.
Yeah, perfect, perfect, perfect. Good examples. Um, yeah, a deterrent can be a guard looking very intimidating, and they look like they're about to choke slam you, and you just don't want to do it, right? I told that example with my sign in my house in Philadelphia. hey, you're on camera. It wasn't much of a deterrent because they took my Amazon packages. So, but that is just an example, right? Hey, do not do it at all. Don't even think about it. But yeah, those can be deterrents, just in a psychological manner, right? You're telling the person, don't try it because it will be some consequences. So those are going to be your deterrent controls, right? You want to always have that in the back of your mind. Okay. What about corrective controls? What are corrective controls?
Corrective controls are attempt to restore normal operations after an incident occurs. And for this, I think that still implementing plans, like a project manager plan, or what happens when this happens, when this certain incidents happen, backup recovery plans, how we restore the data, where we get the data from.
Yeah, certainly. Those are some examples. Any real world examples anyone seen in their life with corrective controls?
Just like when Microsoft like send like patch updates or like their operating system like updates so that like it's not like, vulnerable to new like threats and stuff like that. So we always
Yeah.
have to update our systems and stuff.
Yeah, in some sense, right? And those sometimes can be, you can kind of mesh those two with preventative and corrective, because number one, they want to prevent something before it even happens. And then, number two, hey, if they understand that there's a bug or any vulnerability, they're going to be, very, very quick on having something to correct that, right? So that is a great examples, but we have to still understand that some of these, there's gray areas between these controls, right? Some of these controls can be both, right? Technical, managerial, preventative, detective, directive, and deterrent, really is how you look at it, right? But we're focusing now on just really black and white as we go through the book.
Yeah, I think the main thing that separated preventative and corrective for me while going through the directives is with corrective, it's an attempt to reverse something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. What's the next one? So we just did corrective, detective is the next one.
Yeah, detective is like essentially it's trying to figure out what happened after an incident occurs or when
Mm-hmm.
vulnerability's been exploited. So
Mm-hmm.
I think a detective, like, you go back and it's kind of like a postmortem, like you look at video surveillance and you look at things,
Mm-hmm.
um, your cameras, or you look at logs of activity, just, or on other systems. They said CMs, I think, were in event management system, security information event management. But I mean, the
Yeah.
easy thing happens is, I mean, most pragmatic thing in our daily lives is like people look at the videotape and see, oh, did we see someone in property, or did someone try, who tried to enter the building at this time when this event occurred, et cetera.
Yeah. Yeah. And, we have things like CCTV and logs, et cetera. The best way to enact detective controls is to actively use it even before an incident happens, right? So, are we looking at tapes, once a week, or, are we preserving evidence on tapes every 120 days? Are we testing those tapes on this, CCTV every 120 days, every I think what's that, every 3 months? Excuse me, every 4 months. So those are the things you have to understand, that detective controls are probably one of the biggest controls in tech and cybersecurity, right? And it's very important that we look at these detective controls and say, if I had a security system, what would I set up as a detective control, right? Or, what would I utilize, right? So I like this control. I would say pay very much attention on these controls. The test talks a lot about like detection, or what appliances to use before a security incident. So that's one thing you want to mark down, is that they'll ask you a lot about uh, what are some of the tools or systems or processes you can use before a cybersecurity incident. So that was good, Emery. Thank you. Preventative controls. What are some preventative controls?
Preventative controls, try and stop an incident happening before it
Yeah,
actually gets there.
yeah.
So some of those things are compliance training. As a teacher, there's like anywhere from 15 to 27 annual trainings that we have to do throughout the year. Also, password policies. They have to be a certain length. You have to use certain characters.
Mhm.
And then again, disabling unauthorized users or employees that have left their accounts, going ahead and shutting down their accounts so that they don't have access to information anymore.
Yeah, that's very important. We want to make sure that users who leave the company or, are in the company, it's a life cycle, right? It's a life cycle of making sure everyone is up to date, right? Because a security or cybersecurity posture or program is only as good as its employees or the people who run the program, right? So everyone needs to be on board. There has to be one piece of consciousness when it comes to proper cybersecurity hygiene. So, very good point, Brittany. Very good for the class. So, amazing job, everyone. I have no doubt that y'all have this down pat. You can continue to review it and look at some examples, right? And you can understand, you know, if I hear, hey, this building has bollards, what type of control is this? This is a physical control, right? This company has uh, CCTV setup, right? It could both be a detective and a deterrent control, right? But just know that because on the exam they will ask you about these, right? And they're pretty easy ones to get. Okay, so uh, just making sure that you go back and review it, but those are like easy ones to knock out the way. So good job, everyone. Let's take a break. It's 7:41 now, so let's take a break until 7:51. That is 8:51 Eastern time. And when we come back, we'll go into some of the slides and wrap up the rest of the chapter. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you're back. Give me a thumbs up. It can be emoji or it can be a physical thumbs up. Okay, everyone got their water and their snacks and all. Okay, good. Good, 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 good. All right. So we are going to go into access control methods. Okay, this is a little bit of chapter 2, just to get a head start on it. So, like we were talking about preventative controls and physical controls, all types of security controls. We have to have access control models, right? So some of our access controls include rule-based access, role-based access, discretionary access, and mandatory access, okay? Very important. These are important concepts within IT and cybersecurity, and anything that you need access to a system, right? We have to have these, okay? So these models, they help determine who can access what information. Okay, so everybody does not get the same privileges to information. The reason why is because if everyone had access to top secret or confidential information, it would be a terrible show, right? All data may be spread across all types of platforms. It would be leaked, right? It wouldn't be good data hygiene, right? And if we have a company, we have a business, the purpose of us having people's data is to protect it, but it's for us to use, right, to make their lives better, right? To have them access our systems, to have them access resources. So we must have these access control methods to help understand who has access to what in our organization. But first, we must understand what are some of the different control methods. So number one, we have rule-based access control, right? We call that RBAC. All right. So RBAC uses predefined rules to grant access based on specific conditions. Okay. So these rules trigger access depending on factors like it could be time, it could be location, it can be system states, right? So it's really used in environments that needs, dynamic access, such as emergency services. Um, excuse me. So very important, but if we go to the next slide, we have some examples, okay? Who wants to read the slide for me? And then I'll go into what this means.
I'll read it. RBAC offers flexibility in adjusting access in real time based on external conditions. It can provide a higher level of security by enforcing context-sensitive access policies. Organizations can easily implement temporary access rules for special scenarios, enhancing operational efficiency. Example, employees can access their email only from company-provided devices, or it can be restriction on access. Data center access is restricted to business hours, 8 a.m. through 6 p.m.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
You're
So
welcome.
yes, so we have different security types or different contexts when it comes to accessing systems, right? So if you have an employee laptop, right, sometimes you wouldn't be able to access your own Gmail on the employee laptop, right? Unless you bring your own laptop, etc. That is a rule, okay? Or maybe you can't go into the data center before 8 or after 6 p.m., right? Because why are you in a data center that late? Okay. So it helps people make sure that number one, they're not overworking. Raise your hand if you know someone that likes to work past the time that they're supposed to and they don't get paid for that. Everybody knows a person like that. I've been a person like that. But um we have to have these mechanisms because number one, the system admin needs to report to, the whoever the CISO is or whoever's the head of information security. And whoever's the head of information security has to report to, the CEO, and the CEO reports to the board, right? And if there's a concern like, hey, we have 6 employees who don't leave the company data center until like 8 p.m., right? And we're not actually paying them any overtime, or let's say we are paying them overtime, this is going to be a cause of concern. So these are, we look at them as rule-based access, but we also, have this on the operational side too, right? It gives us a gauge on who's doing what, all right, in our systems. So these rule-based access methods are there to make sure that people are accessing systems or, spaces within reason. All right. So that's what you need to know for rule-based access control. Anybody have any questions about that? Pretty straightforward. Mhm. Okay, good. All right. So we have another RBAC, right? So this is a role-based access control, right? And that assigns permissions to roles rather than individuals. Okay. So I'm not assigning roles to Georges. I'm not assigning roles to Darrison. I'm assigning roles to them based on their role in the company. All right. So it basically helps with streamlining permissions and minimizes the risk of unauthorized access. Um, just a shot in the dark. Can anyone give some more context or an example of a role-based access control? Anybody? My guys in IT.
Um, so for example, like internal, I guess staff have when we have like access to database, we have more privileges than clients when they first get into the system. So we're able to do more stuff than them and just like go into the back end and kind of like look at like their database instead of the clients that when they get like access, they don't really have as much I guess permissions as we do.
Mhm.
I have an example that we all should be familiar with. Discord. And Discord is a role-based access control. So you create roles, and depending on what role, you can give, grant different permissions to that specific role. And then some servers have it where you can assign yourself a role. So you can just get that role, and then whatever permissions that role has, your channels you can view once you get that role.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. I think someone put something in the chat. Okay, that was a good bearing message. Yes, yes, sir. Yeah, really good, really good. Okay, yeah. So I'll quickly just do a quick example with my whiteboard. Let's do this here. Let me stop this. Share whiteboard example. And just to make it super easy again. Let's say, ooh, where'd it go? Bear with me, bear with me. Oh, okay. Should be coming back on. All right. So let's say would be a form of RBAC, right? I need your help with this, okay? So let's say a receptionist, right? Anybody in the medical field or familiar with the medical field, we're going to go through a quick exercise of role-based access control. All right. Now we have a receptionist, we have a nurse, and we have a doctor, right? All different positions in the medical field. Uh, one has more of a extreme or intense expertise. The other one is there to help aid the doctor, and then the other one is there to organize, schedules and visits, etc. Right? All equally have a very important role to play in the medical care or healthcare system, right? But what are some of the things the receptionist could have access to, right? And let's just think about it. Let's think about what does a receptionist do, right? Meetings,
Schedule appointments.
appointments. Okay. We have appointments. All right. What else?
Patient demographic, meaning age, sex, insurance information, address.
So let's just say PII, right?
Yeah.
Personally identified information. Anything else? Maybe emails, right? Oh,
Yep.
well, that's the same. Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the patient demographic information.
Emails, name,
Invoicing.
sex, invoicing. Yeah, invoices. All right, good. I think that's enough. So what does the nurse have? What do you think the nurse have? What type of information does the nurse have about, the data or, patient?
charts,
Okay, yeah.
medical history.
Mm-hmm. Patient charts, medical history. Okay. Right. Anything else?
Ability to input lab values.
Yeah, like lab. You said what? Lab values?
Yeah, lab values.
Okay. I'm not even sure what that is. Like what is that? Like
Lab
labs?
values is your blood, anything that comes back from your urine sample, blood, when they draw your blood, doing your checkup.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lab chart, basically.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right. Now, the doctor has obviously he can look at patient charts, but what can the doctor do that the nurse can't?
Prescribe medication.
Prescribe.
Prescribe.
They can also recommend you see another doctor or a specialist.
Recommend.
Diagnosis.
Excuse my handwriting. Oh gosh. All right. So here is an example of role-based access controls. Can the receptionist see the patient records? In this case,
Should not be able to.
should not be able to. Exactly. Now, there may be some places where they do, but I don't think that is HIPAA, that stands for HIPAA or anything, but they should not be able to. Thank you, France. Okay. So so the nurse can do patient charts, lab values, medical history, right? But what can the nurse not do?
Scripts.
Scripts, okay? So the nurse cannot do any scripts, all right? Right? So this is do that. Cool. Okay. And now the doctor has what? The highest, basically, the highest elevated view or the highest privilege in the whole joint, right? So the doctor, it looks like the doctor can basically see all of this if he wanted to, right? Usually wouldn't do the receptionist work, but sometimes the doctors come to the front and look in their system and try to reaffirm appointments and stuff, right? But this is the idea of role-based access control, right? There needs to be some type of separation between data and between the access of data. So good job. I know, France, you carried us through this because this is what you do, right?
In a nutshell, yes.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha. Okay. So how does it look like in cybersecurity or tech, right? So, let's say I'm only doing a few positions. There's a lot of different positions in between, right? But Right now, I am doing a few positions like number one, help desk role, admins, and sysadmin, right? Of course, you have your cybersecurity analysts, your DevOps, et cetera, but we're going to just do these three for simplicity terms, okay? So what is we have your IT, your help desk analyst, we have your network admin, and then your sysadmin, right? All of these folks are there to keep the IT infrastructure from working, from making sure that there is a complete system. So give us some ideas about what does a help desk admin have access to? What are they primarily doing for anyone who's in IT?
They'll have access to like password reset functionality tools, system recovery tools,
Password sys recovery.
system updates.
Updates. Okay. All right. Anything else? Just we can just put it there just for show. You know, I guess they'll have access to what do you call it, like different softwares. Let's say software, let's say maybe like some software patches here and there. I mean, I guess it's the same as updates and whatnot. I'm trying to remember from my help desk days. This is a long time ago, so bear with me. All right, so then we have network admin, right? So our network admin, what are some of the things that our network admin is going to do? Everything just is networking. All right, so firewalls, got firewalls.
IP protocols.
IP protocols.
That can be Wi-Fi router maintenance as a network admin.
Yeah. Most of the, yeah, go ahead. You're doing a lot of maintenance. I'll
Pretty
tell you.
much.
Yeah. Yeah, you're doing a lot of maintenance. What else? What else? What else do we have? I guess like monitoring tools and stuff. All right. A lot of configuring. All right. Now, what our sysadmin has, right? Our sysadmin is looking for what? He or she is the person that has, right, full access. So it could be full access to servers, right? Networks. What else?
Just managing like security protocols, helping with like onboarding for like new user support issues, like giving them access on the back end.
Creation.
So let's just say user management. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Oh, and documentation too. Like,
Yeah.
creating records of like how to do the processes in certain organizations.
SOPs.
Yeah. Yeah, that sometimes they will give the IT analysts that job because they're like, I don't want to do this. So let me give it to the IT analyst. But yes, that is something they can do, correct? Docs. All right. Now let's make it super simple, right? Um, can the can the IT analyst have access to full servers or system admin privileges? Nope. Network admin, can they have access to servers? Well, really depends, right? And sometimes here's the problem with IT sometimes. People get permissions that don't need permissions, right? So credential creep or shadow IT, right? Hey, I gave France full access to the server because I was out and he's like my number 2 in command. So I gave him full access and then I went away on vacation and then I came back and I forgot about it. Okay. But in a perfect world, this network admin does not have access to um, servers, or can they deprovision the network? They can maintain the network, but they can't start it or stop it. And Alana asked a important question. She said, can people get fired for doing that? Yes, absolutely. Their ass can get fired. I'm just being honest with you. They can get fired, but again, depending on what the company is, right? So if we're a chill, laid back company, especially universities, everybody sometimes just has access to everything. I'll be quite honest with you. If it's a real laid back environment, if it's a Fortune 100, let's say Google or Amazon, um, your butt is on the chopping block. And don't let Jeff Bezos hear about what you did because you're gone. You're out of there, right? But we have to have those strict controls, right? And this is the importance why we do audits. We do internal audits to see who's the owner of what and who has access to what, right? We must do this, we can do a quarterly audit or an audit, once or twice a year, right? But these are the things why it's so important. So this is our understanding of role-based access. If they ever ask you on a test, hey, sysadmins has full access to servers and network uh, access, and IT admins, IT analysts have access to password resets, system recovery, updates, software patches. What is this an example of? And you can say, hey, this sounds like role-based access, right? Everyone has a role and everyone has certain permissions. All right. Any questions about that? All good? Cool. All right, let me go back to what I was teaching somewhere. There we go. Ooh, come on now. Rule-based access control. All right, all good. All right. Okay. So the next thing is going to be discretionary access control. And what is discretionary access control? Well, discretionary access control is basically it allows owners to dictate who can access their files, right? So this model really provides flexibility and it can often lead to inconsistencies, right? There's an example that should pop up in your mind about discretionary access control, right? And when someone says it's to your discretion, right? It's to basically your comfort, right? To what you want to do with it, right? So it is very commonly used in personal computing environments and collaboration environments. So if we look at the definition, right? If I'm allowed to, give people access to my resources as I please, what comes to mind? Does anything come to mind, anybody? When we come to discretionary access control?
Like Google Sheets or like Google Docs.
There we go. Hit it on the head. Hit it on the head, okay, right? Google Drive. That is discretionary access control, right? I am giving someone a resource, etc., based on when I feel like it. All right. So if I can give you an example, right? We can share an example. We have our Google Drive right here. Okay. So if I go to, let's say I went to class assignments and I clicked on, let's see, I clicked on share. Let me see. So here it shows you who has access to the document, right? We see Antonio, we see Alana down here. See a lot of different people, right? Deshaun Emery, right? And I can say, hey, you know what, Deshaun, I can just make you a viewer. All right. So you can't edit any of these files, and they're there, just for you to view them. Okay. Or I can say, hey, you can and comment on something that seems interesting. Right. We have restricted access here, or anyone with the link, right? Whoever can get this file that Shar made, right? And then we can copy links and share it with people, and then we can go from there, right? So this is an access. This is an example of this type of access control, right? If I go back, discretionary access control, easy peasy, very good example with Google. And then we should be on our way. Any questions about discretionary access control? All right, mandatory access control, right? So mandatory access control enforces strict access policies defined by a central authority, okay? So it's not you and I, it's not role-based, it's not rule-based, but it's mandatory, right? It's mandatory based on the company, right? So user permissions are determined by the system based on security labels, okay? So for my military folk, right, we have top secret, we have secret, confidential, classified, okay? Now, within the military system, right, you have to get these clearances to get this certain information, okay? And so when we have these categories, it keeps a barrier for people who do not need to see the information private, okay? So if you don't have your top secret clearance, you can't look at this document, okay? If you don't have your secret clearance, forget it. Okay, so very, very popular with military or organizations who require high security, weapons companies. Um, I'm thinking like your Boeing. No, not Boeing. Boeing is plane. What is that weapons company? I think it starts with a B. Is Boeing the weapons company, or they just make the planes?
Their weapons too.
Their weapons as well.
Okay, cool.
Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, and Lockheed Martin as well. So this is what you're looking at, okay? And then, very famously with the United States government, or I mean, this could be in other countries, but other countries do it different ways. Doesn't really apply to everyone in different countries, but there's probably a system or something similar to it. All right. So understand that this is mandatory access control. All right. So again, I chose this picture because I thought it was cool. It's like you're in the military and they're putting the oculars on people, and it's like, hey, you can only see this much because you have a top secret clearance or a secret clearance, right? But Pratt and Whitney, okay, that's a company, right?
Yes,
Okay,
aerospace company. They also build planes and different type of weapons as well.
okay,
In
cool.
different branch of the company did require different clearance.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. Yeah, I'm learning something today. I knew that Boeing made airplanes, but also was like, yeah, they actually do make weapons too. I don't know what the I guess why they do that in tandem. Maybe because they have the parts or the or the material to do that. But I think that's quite interesting, very interesting. So. With your mandatory access control, right, it provides robust security by minimizing the risk of unauthorized access, right? So we can't have everybody touching all the documents or the files, right? So, it's very important where, companies, they may have strict compliance or regulatory compliance, right? So, United States, they go off of FIPS 199 system or FISMA systems, FedRAMP systems, these are all government compliance systems in cybersecurity, right? You'll learn about that closer to Chapter 9 in the risk management section. But these will give you an understanding of, hey, why does certain information need to be, you know, protected, and why do certain people need to have access to certain information, right? Effectively, the goal is to reduce a breach. The goal is to reduce information from flying all willy-nilly, right? So there's going to be a centralized control, right? Whether that is the IT department or the cybersecurity department, or you know, the CISO, which is a Chief Information Security Officer, or the CIO. They're going to enforce those policies, right, to make sure that everyone is abiding by those. Okay, good examples, fellas. Really good. All right, so at the end of the slide, right, a summary and comparison. So each access control model has a unique advantage suiting to different organizational needs. So understanding these models help in selecting the appropriate security strategy for your organization, right? So organizations often implement a combination of models, right? So it can be rule-based, role-based, discretionary, etc., and then you can just go from there, right? That's very important when it comes to you know, creating a cybersecurity system. All right. So I want to real quickly launch a video. And then from there on, we can have ourselves a good evening. Okay. Let's do this. Let me know if you can hear the sound.
Fence around a piece of property. That fence may be there to keep out stray dogs. Consider the purpose of a fence around a piece of property. That fence may be there to keep out stray dogs, or it may be there to prevent unauthorized individuals from entering a building. A fence is all about controlling access. Access control is the rules that administer availability to digital assets by granting or denying access to those assets. So an access control policy, sometimes abbreviated ACP, are the high-level requirements that specify why access is managed and who, under what circumstances, can have permission to see those digital assets. Think of files, think of folders, think of things on a computer. An ACP, access control policy, typically has 5 different areas. The first is the ability to identify the objective of the policy itself. What is this policy all about? Why are we talking about this in our policy? The second area in an access control policy usually looks at what type of data needs to be protected. Is it HR data? Is it customer information? Is it HIPAA medical data? The third element of an access control policy looks at recognizing a process for identifying individuals to have access to those resources and how exceptions can be granted. In a hospital setting, it might be prohibited that this group of individuals have access to patient data. Yet an exception can be granted by an administrator under these circumstances. That's the why and will be laid out in the policy. The fourth element of an ACP might be to identify the type of task that can be performed by individuals who have permission. And the fifth element is to specify the level of sensitivity of the data that is required by such a task. A common misunderstanding in ACPs is to have a generic cybersecurity policy that fits this business, a hospital, as well as this business, a manufacturing environment. That's a mistake. All data is different, all access to data is different, and thus all access control cybersecurity policies likewise need to be unique and different, tailored to the organization.
All right. So what he said is, hey, you can't just have one access control policy, right? You know, other than writing it down, other than having a generic policy, your company may be different. You may be a healthcare company, you may be a weapons company, or you may be a restaurant, etc. Right? We need different policies. If we're in IT, you know, looking at role-based policies may be important, but if we're in IT in the government, then hey, we might use a MAC policy, right? So understanding how to apply it and what situations to apply it to is very important when it comes to determining how people gain access to our systems, right? So make sure you go over that in the book, right? And then we'll look at one more video and then wrap it up, okay? Here we go. We'll go back to mandatory access control.
Mandatory Access Control, MAC, is a security model used in computer systems and networks to enforce strict and centralized control over the access and sharing of information. In MAC, access permissions and restrictions are determined and mandated by a centralized security policy or administrator, and users have limited control over changing these permissions. This is in contrast to Discretionary Access Control, DAC, where individual users often have control over the access permissions to their own resources. Key characteristics of mandatory access control include 1. Security labels. MAC systems assign security labels or classifications to both users and objects, such as files, directories, or processes. These labels represent the sensitivity or importance of the information. 2. Hierarchical levels. Security labels typically follow a hierarchical structure, with different security levels, e.g., top secret, secret, confidential, and classified, and categories, e.g., finance, personnel, research, that define the classification of data and the permissions granted. 3. No user discretion. In a MAC system, users cannot change or modify the labels or permissions of the resources they access. Only authorized administrators can alter security policies and labels. 4. Access decisions. Access to resources is determined based on comparisons between the security labels of users and objects. The access control mechanism enforces a set of rules, such as the no read up, no write down principle, which restricts users from accessing data with higher security labels than their own. 5. Centralized administration. MAC is often employed in government, military, and high-security environments where a central authority or security policy administrator enforces and manages access control policies. 6. Enhanced security. MAC is known for its robust security features, as it minimizes the risk of data leaks or unauthorized access by strictly adhering to the access control policy. Examples of MAC implementations include government security clearance systems, military networks, and highly regulated industries where data protection and confidentiality are paramount. While MAC provides strong security, it can also be inflexible and complex to manage, making it less suitable for environments where users require more discretion and control over access permissions. In such cases, Discretionary Access Control, DAC, or Role-Based Access Control, RBAC, may be preferred for their flexibility and ease of administration. Subscribe for more videos.
All right. And that is it for today. Everyone did very good with the do now. Go over that chapter. There's another, well, let me see. Oh, there's another part in the chapter where you have practice questions that you can do. Do those practice questions over the weekend, see where you scored, and then we'll go over those quickly on Monday. Okay, so we got to go over them quickly because we have to move forward with our other chapters, right? We want to make sure that you're getting everything you need, but then again, we're still making time for our hands-on and our, professional development and AI workshops. Okay, so great job. Yeah, y'all can go home. It's Friday, so go home, have a good one. Okay, I'll be here for questions.
All right. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.